How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia, and the Yankees made another pitching signing today in Tyler Duffey of the Minnesota Twins. He's been with the Twins organization for like 8 years, and now they've released him. He didn't ultimately have a great 2022 campaign, but he's a pretty decent pitcher. Honestly, I'm surprised they actually released him to begin with. So this year is a 4.91 ERA, so that's really not very good. 3.58 xFIP, but in 2020 he had a 1.88 ERA, and then last year a 3.18 ERA over 62 innings. He actually isn't that bad. His strikeouts are down a little bit. I want to discuss kind of what's happening with him, the value he can provide this Yankee team, and why I think the Yankees brought him in to begin with, just because, yesterday after Jameson Taillon gets knocked out after the second inning, they have to use 6 bullpen arms to get through the rest of that game. So I think clearly they need to mitigate some fatigue. They want to give some guys rest. And Tyler Duffey offers them a pretty solid pitcher who can get it done. He can at least utilize, he can go innings. Like, he can eat up an inning every now and then and not give up a run. In July, he gave up, I think, 4 runs in July over, I think, 8 innings. But all of them, except for one, came in a single game against San Diego. So the rest of his outings, which was like 6 or 7 other outings, he didn't give up a run, or he gave up 1 run in 7 of those outings. So altogether, he's not that bad of a player. We're going to take a look at his pitches, what he's bringing, what he offers this team. But Ryan, before we do, how you do today, my friend?
I am doing phenomenal. I'm having a very good day. The Yankees, they got a win yesterday. They're winners of 7 of their last 10. So, that's always encouraging to see after having, a really shitty month of August. And as you mentioned, the Yankees are relievers are dropping like flies for the Yankees. Not even just relievers, pitchers at this point, right? Whether it's a IL stint, I'm going to put that in quotation marks for Nestor Cortez. That is the fakest injury I've ever seen in my life. Taillon, things happen. You get, drilled in the wrist. That happens. It's baseball. Thankfully, it's hopefully nothing serious. If you look at the Efroses of the world, or, you had Holmes down for a while, or the Chapman leg infection. Why are we getting tattoos in the middle of the season? But that's a different story. But Duffy's a weird pitcher, because if you look at how he started the season, his first 15 innings, he has a 3 ERA, a 3.59 FIP. You're like, okay, you're going to have a strong season. He's giving up a bunch of ground balls. And then it just goes downhill from there. This is a guy who was a very successful pitcher with Minnesota, and not just a guy who was putting up good numbers and doing it in low leverage, right? You gotta think of Lucas Lipke as like that guy who has really good numbers, but he does it in low leverage, so he's not a high leverage arm necessarily. Duffey had a win probability of 2.42 last year, which is pretty strong. So he was pitching in pretty high leverage situations and succeeding most of the time. He was converting most of those opportunities. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but he didn't throw particularly hard when he was successful in 2020 or 2021. So that's not a concern for me. What seems to be the issue here is just that as a whole, his arsenal is just way less effective, right? Last year, the curveball had a 222, a 148 average, and a 217 slugging percentage against. This year, it's 279, 500 slugging percentage against. The whiffs are there. The spin rate is there. The movement is relatively similar. He's just not getting ground balls as much. He's not getting swings and misses as much. He's just getting hit more than he's ever had in his life. And whether that's because, his fastballs aren't as receptive, maybe it's a release point issue, whatever it may be. He's just not converting these situations that he normally did. And it's not like there's a drastic lack of stuff there. Usually the concern is with relievers when if they start losing velocity or movement, that's when you start saying, okay, these guys aren't, valuable on the market anymore. These are washed goods. We're looking at previous seasons, but they don't reflect on what they are currently. But Duffy's kind of a different situation here. I was confused as to why the Twins would release him, only in the sense that they really don't have relievers, but at the same time, they're not in a position to take project relievers. They just need guys who are going to produce. It's kind of, next man up, or what did you do for me lately for that bullpen? The Yankees can take that risk, right? Duffy's not even on the major league roster right now. They call up Weiser. He has a horrible first outing, and then the next 2, he's absolutely disgusting, right? Where the hell did this kid come from, and why didn't I hear him sooner? Even Lucas Lipke, right, giving you quality innings when you need it. Loaiza got struck out the side, looking absolutely gross. Clay Holmes, the day before, getting Mike Trout to ground to double play after a mental error by Gleyber Torres, right? The Yankees have that bullpen depth. I think Duffey just adds to depth, because you need these guys here today before September 1st, or also not postseason eligible. And that's why you're going to see maybe a flurry of signings, not just from the Yankees, but a lot of teams bringing up in pitchers so that they can make sure that come October, if anyone's down, they have major league caliber pitchers available for the postseason.
Yeah, and they need those because right now the Yankees are kind of escaping by the skin of their teeth with some of these injuries. Tyone, just getting a lucky break there. He even said, like, usually I haven't gotten this lucky in my career. Getting drilled with a line drive usually is not a good thing, especially after throwing arm. So hopefully he escapes there without anything too serious and doesn't miss much time. But Tyler Duffey, just to give you some insight into kind of what he's done recently in August, his last outing as the Toronto Blue Jays lasted 1.2 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. So, he pitched 44 pitches in that inning, which is so that's kind of interesting. That's actually the most he's pitched in a single game all season long was 44 pitches. So it seems like they kind of needed the longevity. Maybe their starter got knocked out early and he needed to step up. But 44 pitches in 1.2 innings is a whole lot. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's an interesting metric there for you to kind of take. But then the game before that against Detroit, he doesn't give up anything. He gives up 2 ground balls, easy 1-2-3 inning. Nothing to worry about there. And, when looking at his pitch repertoire, and Ryan, this is where I think that you're going to find this interesting. So in 2021, he used his curveball, 4-seam fastball, and dabbled with a sinker. Just dabbled with it. This year, he's seen his 4-seam fastball decrease from 46.5% to 37.5%, which has been mostly reallocated toward his sinker. So he threw his sinker 4.4% in 2021, but now it's at about 15% this year. And it's actually like not that bad of a pitch. He gets 9% more vertical drop than the average pitcher. It only, averages out to 92.4 miles an hour. So it's not getting much velocity, but it's actually producing a lot better results than his 4-seam fastball, which is, opposing batters hitting 288 against it, whereas they're only hitting 207 against his sinkers. So maybe, you look at Tanner Swanson coming over from the Twins. He's probably like, I know Tyler Duffey. I've been working with him for a long time. He probably has some insight into what he's good at. And then you probably look over at Matt Blake and say, hey, this guy's sinker actually isn't that bad. And this is the first year he's actually been utilizing it enough for us to see a reasonable sample size. Maybe there's something there we can extrapolate on. Like maybe that pitch isn't that bad. So I'm starting to kind of think that they saw the value in that sinker. Maybe they want to expand upon it a little bit more. And I think he's more of a fill-in guy anyway. I don't think he's like someone they're relying on. And I know you love to see Jonathan Loáisiga kick some serious ass yesterday. Had a whole bunch of strikeouts. He's looked astronomically better. He looks almost kind of what we saw last season, which is a very good sign for the playoffs. And if he keeps ramping up like this, he will be a prominent role player in the playoffs, and that will be huge for the Yankees. But Duffey, what are your thoughts on his sinker? Thoughts on kind of how they may utilize him down the stretch here? Obviously, more of a plug and play kind of guy, but definitely someone who has some value.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I mean, his sinker has been his best fastball this season, arguably in terms of results, his best pitch this season. I look at a guy like Duffey, and you kind of see where he's struggling. He kind of needs that pitch that gets him over, or that he can rely on heavily, and that sinker could potentially be that. We're kind of in an era in baseball where throwing your breaking ball more than your fastball is more widely acceptable. I mean, I think anyone growing up playing baseball, they would hear, establish your fastball. We have to establish the fastball. Establish the fastball. It's a phrase, that you've heard, that's been a part of baseball for a very long time. But nowadays it's, hey, just throw your best pitch, right? Go get outs, go get swings and misses, right? And Duffey may be a guy who could at least benefit from having that, that sinker there that can help him pair with his curveball. Do necessarily mirror perfectly? No, but does it matter as long as it gets results? Also, no. At this point, Duffey's just trying to chase results, right? I feel this way about like Herman, a lot of guys who are not supposed to be on the roster, or a big part of this roster come the postseason. I can't let you go out and get results at this point, right? Because I just need you to go out there and do what you need to do, whether it's sustainable or not. You kind of just need to chase results with these guys. They're not long-term pieces. These are not guys who are part of the future in 4 years. I feel differently from guys like even Weissert, right? Like if I need Weissert to go out and and have reliable success more than just some fake success, because I would like to have him here long-term. Whereas Duffey, if the sinker and curveball, if you're using it, and at some point, there's a good chance that in a month or two, in 2 months, or however it may be, a team figures it out, whatever. I don't really care, because you only care about the couple of innings he may give you in September. But ultimately, the sinker could be a big pitch and play here. The four-seam fastball, when you don't have a pitch that gets a lot of ride and it's a four-seam fastball, it's kind of tough for you to get swings and misses. It's pretty easy to hit, especially when not thrown very hard. So I imagine that four-seam fastball usage goes down. And we'll see, though, because he'll be pitching, I think, with AAA for now. So we'll have to wait and see if there are any injuries. I mean, the Yankees still have a couple guys down there that, are going to get looked at for major league roles. We talked about Jimmy Cordero before. Ultimately, I mean, the Yankees are deep down there, right? The Yankees just have a lot of arms they can pull up, and it's not the worst reliever in the world. It's a quality MLB reliever, which is a big advantage to have come the regular season in September, and especially in October.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy how much depth the Yankees have in their AAA farm system. It's just ridiculous. They pull up guys I've never I don't even know some of these guys, and bam, they're pulled up. Greg Weissert, never heard of this guy before. And mainly because all the focus was on Waldichuk, all the focus is on Wesneski. It's just it's hard to sometimes know all these guys, and they just their development system with these pitchers is just absolutely A+. It is fantastic, and seeing them come up, Weiser, after, like you said, that first outing, not very good. Second outing comes out, looks awesome yesterday. 2 strikeouts over 2 innings. Did a really good job. So it's encouraging to see how well these guys are performing after a little bit of action. And then they're flipping some of these guys who they think, may not be maybe significant role players. But Waldichuk actually is going to be getting his first start, I think, this week. So we'll see how he does. That'll be annoying if he does really well. And Montas is sucking for us right now. So kind of see how things play out on that end. But Duffey, interesting player here, guys. One that can definitely play a role, definitely be some sort of value down the stretch, especially if injuries arise. I want to keep you guys updated on the latest moves for this Yankee team, and obviously the Jameson Tyone injury. But all is well. 7 wins out of our last 10, like Ryan said before. Feeling good, feeling a little bit more optimistic. The bats need to come alive. Boone finally made the decision to bench Gleyber Torres yesterday, so his offense really wasn't getting there if he still continues to struggle. And Harrison Bader also 10-day ramp up before he ultimately begins a rehab assignment with the minor league system. So, he's getting close to return as well. This team is definitely getting healthier. In the next few weeks, I expect them to return a couple guys, and we'll see. Maybe Cabrera ends up moving to second base and Bader takes over in center and Judge in right field. So we'll kind of see what they do there, but I'm very curious to see how Aaron Boone starts to utilize all these healthy guys coming back. But guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Yankees. Taking a look at Tyler Duffey right now. We'd love to hear your thoughts, opinions, and perspectives below, as always, in the YouTube comments. And make sure to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next episode.